And welcome back to On Cue here on KSNQ Public Television, our little virtual set here as we are quarantined at KSMQ, and we are learning. We figured, why not learn about some of our employers, some of our people in our area that do special and great things while we have a little extra time on our hands, frankly, to watch videos. So
Great idea.
I know that even though people are at home, it does not mean they are not busy. And Mary, I know you are very busy. We appreciate you taking time to talk to us a little bit and learn a little bit about Gift of Life. Tell us about your facility.
Thank you so much for having us here, and we appreciate it very much. Gift of Life Transplant House provides lodging, affordable, high-quality lodging for transplant patients and their caregivers in a supportive home-like environment. So you can imagine, you've just been told that you're going to need a life-saving transplant in order to be able to continue to live. But you are 4 or 5 hours away from the Mayo Clinic. You're not able to come and be a part of that. You're going to need to find a place to stay. It's probably not a hotel. Many of our guests have to stay for, periods of time, 2 weeks up to, we've had guests that have been here for over a year. So Gift of Life Transplant House provides accommodations for these guests in a way that becomes their home away from home.
So these are not the patients themselves, but the loved ones?
It's the patients and the loved ones. Mayo Clinic, and we're independent of Mayo Clinic, but Mayo Clinic does many of its transplants on an outpatient basis. So that means if you're going to get a stem cell transplant, you go in one day for what they call the infusion of your stem cells, and then you come back to the house that night. And then you go back and forth to Mayo Clinic every day, and stem cell guests are here usually for 100 days, every day to have checkups, follow-ups, see what's happening, if everything's working properly. Obviously, the organ transplants are in the hospital for a bit, but their loved one can stay with us until they're ready to come back. And again, they stay around for 2 weeks to 4 weeks as everyone's checking to make sure that those rejection medications are properly in place and they're ready to go home.
You have the history of Gift of Life Transplant Houses is a wonderful story.
It is. So are you talking about how Ed Pompain started the Gift of Life Transplant House? Yes. So Ed Pompain, 2-time kidney recipient himself, after his first kidney transplant, made such good friends at the hospital that he started going back to visit people. And as he was there, he learned that so many of them were staying in hotels and didn't have a good option at all. So he and his mother began inviting these people to come to their home. Well, as you can imagine, they ran out of room very quickly. And that's what inspired Ed to begin looking for a place where they could create a transplant house that would look like what it is when you're at home and entertaining guests and having people stay with you. And so he found a little Gregorian style house just a block away from us right now, where that was called the first Gift of Life Transplant House. It had 8 bedrooms. Everybody shared a bathroom, which is totally different from what we do today. But it was the start of something amazing. And what a vision that man had for creating such a place. So that first house had 8 bedrooms, just a few families. Last year, we were able to accommodate 4,300 people that came through Gift of Life Transplant House in our 2 facilities.
My goodness, that's such wonderful story and really lifts the spirits. In this time of the COVID-19, you said you're not a hospital or part of Mayo. How has that impacted your world?
Well, I tell you, we were a little bit ahead of the game in that our cleaning and sanitizing protocols had to be impeccable because our guests already have lowered immune systems. They're already taking medications to lower, so they could catch anything. So we were all ready. Before we even knew the word COVID-19, we're already cleaning at a really high standard. But when we learned about coronavirus and we knew what it could do to those vulnerable patients that we have here, we began implementing some things that were pretty stringent. So of course we adopted right away the no visitors policy, but then we decided that everyone in the house was going to be asked to wear a mask. So we did that a little earlier than everyone else adopted it, just based on what we knew about what COVID-19, how it was spread. We also go through the house every hour, and we have 2 facilities. So every hour at both of our facilities, someone goes through the house, cleaning every public area that could be touched. So they are sanitizing doorknobs, railings along the walls, elevator buttons, light switches, anything that would be a public thing that you could touch and pick something up from a surface is cleaned every hour. And then our guests, of course, do quite a bit to make sure that they're advocating for themselves. So they already know the protocols for sanitizing the kitchen and keeping the kitchens clean, sanitizing our common dining areas where they're eating. And so we've been implementing that. We've been very fortunate in that we have kind of withstood the onslaught of COVID-19. Our motto has become together we can, and let's stop coronavirus in its tracks at the front door.
Very good. Just a practical question with the patients. Is there more, can they not see their loved ones because of these new restrictions, or are they able to visit?
Oh, it's so difficult. So they're able to be here together. So a patient and caregiver can stay here together. But if that patient should happen to need to go to the hospital, maybe something's now gone wrong with medications, or they've got a fast heart rate, that poor loved one is here just like all the rest of us and not able to see their loved one at the hospital. So it has really changed the dynamics for a lot of people. However, let me tell you something about transplant patients. They are some of the most grateful, optimistic people I have ever met. They're grateful that they've been given a second chance at life. They've been given the gift of life, and they're grateful for Gift of Life Transplant House. So the first few days of COVID-19 were just like everyone else. We were all scared, and there was anxiety and stress here at the house. But you know what's happened about the last week and a half? Encouragement again is coming from the guests. We're going to get through this together. Mary, thank you so much for what you're providing for us. So that theme comes through over and over again with our guests. And even when they've had to send one of their loved ones to the hospital, the other guests gather around, encourage them, support them. It's going to be okay. Make those phone calls, find out what's happening. It is an amazing group of people.
Well, and the workers such as yourself, Mary, are amazing people, just maintaining a positive attitude. I know there's a lot of gratitude, but my goodness, you are under a lot of stress all the time, and it's really an amazing work that you do.
Thank you so very much. Let me tell you now about our staff. So remember when the governor gave the stay-at-home order, and we had 5 staff that we considered to be high risk due to either age or medical conditions. And so we said to them, you know what, you're going to need to go home and stay home for those 2 days. Every single one of those staff members came into my office, closed the door, and said, some of them with tears in their eyes, please don't make us go home. Please don't make us go home. We want to stay and help. We know what it's going to take for the rest of the staff that are left here to keep up with everything. And we want to be here and help the guests and the caregivers. So you're right. We have a remarkable staff. We have amazingly encouraging, optimistic, grateful caregivers. People in community together can get through things in a whole different way. The healing comes because of that. And I think that is the perfect message for us today in the nation. Together we can get through this, but we have to pull together to make it happen.
Wonderful, Mary. Well, thank you so much. Hey, if people want more information, can you tell us where your website, what the address is?
Sure. It's www.gift-of-life.org. We also have a Facebook page, Gift of Life Transplant House.
Well, Mary, thank you very much, and keep smiling, okay?
Well, you as well, and best wishes to everyone over there. We are so grateful for our partnership with you. It's meant a lot to us to have KMSQ as a partner of ours. Thank you so much.